Welcome to Bible Quizzes. My name is Brianna and I'm going to be your host today. Remember, you have 5 seconds after each question before I reveal the answer. Good luck. Who was swallowed by a great fish? Elijah, Moses, Jonah, or David? Jonah. Jonah 1:17. And the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. How many plagues did God send upon Egypt? 5, 10, 7, or 12? 10. Exodus 7:11. These are the 10 plagues which the Lord set upon Egypt: blood, frogs, gnats, flies, livestock, boils, hail, locust, darkness, and the death of the firstborn. In the book of Revelation, how many seals are on the scroll held by the Lamb? 3, 7, 5, or 12? 7. Then I saw in the right hand of him who was seated on the throne a scroll written within, and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. What item did Gideon ask for as a sign from God? A fleece, ox goad, a crown, or a stone? A fleece. Judges 6:37. Behold, I am laying a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is a dew on the fleece alone, and it's dry on all the ground, then I shall know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said. Which book of the Bible contains the Song of Suffering Servant? Psalms, Lamentations, Isaiah, or Ezekiel? Isaiah 53:3-5. He was despised and rejected by man, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. By his wounds we are healed. How many years did the Israelites wander in the wilderness? 20, 40, 30, or 50? 40. Numbers 14:33-34. And your children shall be shepherds in the wilderness for 40 years, and shall suffer for your faithlessness, until the last of your dead bodies lies in the wilderness. Who interpreted King Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the statue made of different materials? Ezekiel, Joseph, David, or Daniel? Daniel. Daniel 2:31-35. You saw, O king, and behold, a great image. Its brightness was extraordinary, and its appearance was frightening. What was the sign of God's covenant with Noah? A dove, an altar, a rainbow, or a star? A rainbow. Genesis 9:13. I have set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be sign of covenant between me and the earth. In the parable of the 10 virgins, how many were wise and had enough oil for their lamps? 2, 7, 5, or 10? 5. Matthew 25:2. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. Which Old Testament book contains a prophecy about the Messiah being born in the Bethlehem? Isaiah, Zechariah, Micah, or Hosea? Micah. Micah 5:2. But you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to be the ruler in Israel, whose coming forth is from of old, from ancient days. What is the only book in the Bible that does not explicitly mention God? Ecclesiastes, Lamentations, Esther, or Genesis? Esther. Entire book of Esther. Though God is not mentioned, his providence is evident throughout the story of how he saves the Jewish people through Esther and Mordecai. In which book does God's Spirit leave King Saul? Judges, 2 Samuel, 1 Samuel, or Psalms? 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 16:14. Now the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and a harmful spirit from the Lord tormented him. What New Testament letter is addressed to the 12 tribes in the dispersion? James, 1 Peter, Hebrews, or Jude? James. James 1:1. James, a servant of God and the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion. Greetings. Which psalm begins, "The Lord is my shepherd"? Psalm 19, Psalm 23, Psalm 51, or Psalm 119? Psalm 23. Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. What prophet has a vision of a valley of dry bones? Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, or Amos? Ezekiel. Ezekiel 37:1-2. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me out the Spirit of the Lord and set me down in the middle of the valley. It was full of bones. Who was a king during the prophet Amos' ministry in Israel? Jeroboam II, Ahab, Hezekiah, or Uzziah? Jeroboam II. Amos 1:1. The words of Amos, who was among the shepherds of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, and the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. What tribe was Paul from? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, or Ephraim? Benjamin. Philippians 3:5. Circumcised on the 8th day. Of the people of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, as to Allah, a Pharisee. What was the first miracle performed by Jesus? Turning water into wine. John 2:11. This, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. What king consulted the medium at Endor? David, Solomon, Saul, or Jeroboam? Saul. 1 Samuel 28:7. Then Saul said to his servants, "Seek out for me a woman who is a medium, that I may go to her and inquire of her." And his servant said to him, "Behold, there is a medium at Endor." Who was the father of John the Baptist? Zechariah, Joseph, Simeon, or Nicodemus? Zechariah. Luke 1:13. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, For your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. Who is the only woman in the Bible whose age at death is recorded? Deborah, Sarah, Rebecca, or Rachel? Sarah. Genesis 23:1. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. In Revelation, what is the number of the beast? 777, 666, 616, or 999? 666. Revelation 13:18. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Who hid 100 prophets of the Lord in 2 caves, protecting them from Queen Jezebel? Obadiah, Elisha, Elijah, or Jehu? Obadiah. 1 Kings 18:4. And when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by fifties in a cave and fed them with bread and water. How long did Methuselah live, making him the oldest recorded human in the Bible? 930 years, 950 years, 969 years, or 1,000 years? 969 years. Genesis 5:27. Thus all the day of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Which Old Testament king extended his life by 15 years after praying to God? David, Ezekiel, Josiah, or Solomon? Ezekiel. 2 Kings 26. And I will add 50 years to your life. I will deliver you and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria. And I will defend the city for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. Who was a priest of Salem to whom Abraham gave a tithe? Jethro, Melchizedek, Zadok, or Eli? Melchizedek. Genesis 14:18-20. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, Blessed by Abraham by God Most High, possessors of heaven and earth, who prophesied that the Messiah would ride into Jerusalem in a donkey? Isaiah, Thomas, Judas, or Zechariah? Zechariah. Zechariah 9:9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. How many people were saved on Noah's ark? 7, 11, 8, or 2? 8. 1 Peter 3:20. Because they formerly did not obey, when God's patience waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is, 8 persons, were brought safely through water. What were the names of Job's 3 friends who visited him? Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Job 2:11. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that had come upon him, they came each from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shushite, and Zophar the Naamathite. How many books of the Bible are attributed to Paul? 10, 14, 13, or 16? 13. Romans through Philemon. Paul is traditionally recognized as the author of 13 epistles in the New Testament from Romans to Philemon. What was the name of the river where John baptized Jesus? Euphrates, Nile, Tigris, or Jordan? Jordan, Matthew 3:13. Then Jesus came from Galilee to Jordan to John to be baptized by him. In Paul's analogy of the armor of God, what does the shield represent? Hope, faith, righteousness, or salvation? Faith. Ephesians 6:16. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. What prophet married a prostitute to symbolize Israel's unfaithfulness to God? Isaiah, Hosea, Micah, or Joseph? Hosea, Hosea 1:2. When the Lord first spoke through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, "Go take yourself a wife of whoredom, and have children of whoredom, for the land commits great whoredom by forsaking the Lord." Which book of the Bible contains the story of Balaam's talking donkey? Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, or Joshua? Numbers 22:28. Then the Lord opened the mouth of that donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you, that you have struck me with these 3 times?" What judge of Israel made a rash vow that led to the sacrifice of his daughter? Gideon, Jephthah, Samson, or Ehud? Jephthah. Judges 11:30-31. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will give me the Ammonites into my hand, then whatever comes out from the doors of my house to meet me shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering." In the vision of Ezekiel's temple, what flowed from beneath the threshold? Milk, water, fire, or oil? Water. Ezekiel 47:1. Then he brought me back to the door of the temple, and behold, water was issuing from below the threshold of the temple. Who replaced Judas Iscariot as one of the 12 apostles? Barnabas, Matthias, Silas, or Paul? Matthias. Acts 1:26. And they cast lots for them, and the lot fell Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. What prophet foretold that Jesus would be called a Nazarene? Hosea, Jeremiah, Isaiah, or unnamed? Unnamed. Matthew 2:23. And he went and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that he was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. What was the name of David's rebellious son who tried to take his throne? Amnon, Adoniah, Absalom, or Solomon? Absalom. 2 Samuel 15:10. But Absalom sent secret messengers throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, "As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then say, Absalom is king at Hebron." Which of the following women was specifically mentioned in Jesus' genealogy? Hagar, Tamar, Esther, or Deborah? Tamar. Matthew 1:3. And Judah, the father of Perez and Zerah, by Tamar, and Perez, the father of Ezra. Who cursed a fig tree for not bearing fruit? Elijah, Jesus, Peter, or Moses? Jesus. Matthew 21:19. And seeing a fig tree by the wayside, he went to it and found nothing on it but only leaves. And he said to it, May no fruit ever come from you again. And the fig tree withered at once. Who tore a lion apart with his bare hands? Samson, Gideon, David, or Absalom? Samson. Judges 14:6. Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and although he had nothing in his hand, he tore the lion in pieces as one tears a young goat. Who prophesied a great famine during the reign of Claudius Caesar? Barnabas, Agabus, Paul, or Philip? Agabus. Acts 11:28. And one of them, named Agabus, stood up and foretold by the Spirit that there would be a great famine over all the world. This took place in the days of Claudius. What was the name of Abraham's second wife? Hagar, Rebecca, Keturah, or Leah? Keturah. Genesis 25:1. Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, who was swallowed by the earth as a punishment for rebelling against Moses. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Numbers 16:31-32. And as soon as he had finished speaking all these words, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up. Which book ends with the words, Remember me, O my God, for good? Ezra, Malachi, Nehemiah, or Daniel? Nehemiah. Nehemiah 13:31. Thus I cleansed them for everything foreign, and I established the duties of the priests and Levites, each in his work. Remember me, O my God, for good. Who interpreted Pharaoh's dream of 7 years of plenty and famine? Daniel, Joseph, Moses, or Aaron? Joseph. Genesis 41:25-26. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Who was the king of Judah when the book of the law was found during temple renovations? Manasseh, Josiah, Hezekiah, or Annas? Josiah. 2 Kings 22:8. And Hilkiah, the highest priest, said to Shaphan, the secretary, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. In Revelation, what do the 7 golden lampstands represent? 7 seals, 7 churches, 7 angels, or 7 stars? 7 churches. Revelation 1:20. As for the mystery of the 7 stars that you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden lampstands, the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. Which apostle had a vision of shit filled with animals being lowered from heaven? John, Peter, Paul, or James? Peter. Acts 10, 11, 12. And saw the heavens open and something like a great sheet descending, being let down by its four corners upon the earth. In it were all kinds of animals and reptiles and birds on earth. What was the name of Ruth's first husband? Chilion, Boaz, Mahlon, or Jehu? Mahlon. Ruth 4:10. Also Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, I have bought to me to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance. How many stones did David pick up to fight Goliath? 3, 7, 5, or 1? 5. 1 Samuel 17:40. Then he took his staff in his hand and chose 5 smooth stones for the brook and put them in the shepherd's pouch. Who was Paul's first convert in Europe? Lydia, Eunice, Cornelius, or Phoebe? Lydia. Acts 16:14. One who heard us was a woman named Lydia, from the city of Thyatira, a seller of purple goods, who was worshipper of God. The Lord opened her heart to pay attention to what was said by Paul. What did the Philistines return with the Ark of the Covenant after capturing it? 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice. 1 Samuel 6:4. They answered, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For the same plague was on all of you and all of the lords. Who was the first Christian martyr? James, Peter, Dorcas, or Stephen? Stephen. Acts 7:59. And as they were stoning Stephen, he called out, Lord Jesus, received my spirit. Which king asked for wisdom and received wealth and honor as well? David, Saul, Solomon, or Hezekiah? Solomon. 1 Kings 3:12, 13. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you. What is the longest chapter in the Bible? Psalm 119, Psalm 23, Isaiah 53, or John 17? Psalm 119. Entire chapter 176 verses. What was the name of Jacob's only daughter? Abigail, Dinah, Michal, or Ahinoam? Dinah. Genesis 34:1. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the woman of the land. How long did Jesus fast in the wilderness? 30 days, 40 days, 7 days, or 50 days? 40 days. Matthew 4:2. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. Which New Testament book emphasizes faith without works is dead? Romans, James, Hebrews, or Galatians? James. James 2:26. For as the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from work is dead. What king of Israel died by falling through a lattice in his upper chamber? Ahab, Ahaziah, Nero, or Augustus? Ahaziah. 2 Kings 1:2. Now Ahaziah fell through the lattice in his upper chamber in Samaria and lay sick. So he sent messengers, telling them, "Go, inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover from this sickness." Which tribe of Israel was nearly exterminated after a civil war? Dan, Ephraim, Benjamin, or Simri? Benjamin. Judges 20:46-48. So all who fell that day of Benjamin were 2,500 men who drew the sword. And the men of Israel turned back against the people of Benjamin and struck them with the edge of the sword. Who prophesied that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem? Hosea, Micah, Amos, or Zechariah? Micah. Micah 5:2. But you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you shall come forth me, one who is to be ruler of Israel. What Old Testament book ends with, "Lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction"? Ezekiel, Malachi, Jeremiah, or Zephaniah? Malachi 4:6. And he will turn the hearts of fathers to their children, and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction. Who was the father of the apostles James and John? Jonah, Andrew, Joseph, or Zebedee? Zebedee. Matthew 4:21. And going on there, he saw 2 other brothers, James and the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, in the boat with Zebedee their father, mending their nets. What did God use to stop the sun and moon in the sky during Joshua's battle? An angel, his voice, a storm, or unnamed? His voice. Joshua 10:12-13. At that time Joshua spoke to the Lord, and the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, until the nation took vengeance on their enemies. What did the high priest wear on his breastplate? 12 stones, 2 stones, 10 stones, or a crown? "12 stones." Exodus 28:21. There shall be 12 stones with their names according to the names of the sons of Israel. Who was the first person to recognize Jesus as the Messiah in the temple as a baby? Simeon, Anna, Elizabeth, or Mary? Simeon. Luke 2:28-30. He took him up his arms and blessed God and said, "Lord, now you are letting your servant depart in peace, for my eyes have you seen your salvation." What did Elisha throw into a spring to heal its waters? Oil, salt, wood, or sand? Salt. 2 Kings 2:21. Then he went to the spring of water and threw salt in it and said, "Thus saith the Lord, I have healed this water." Which Roman governor famously asked Jesus, "What is the truth?" Felix, Pilate, Herod, or Agrippa? Pilate. John 18:38. Pilate said to him, "What is the truth?" After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, I found no guilt in him. Who was instructed to set his face towards Jerusalem and preach against it? Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, or Jonah? Ezekiel. Ezekiel 21:2. Son of man, set your face toward Jerusalem and preach against the sanctuaries. What Old Testament book foretells the destruction of Edom? Obadiah, Nahum, Habakkuk, or Zechariah? Obadiah. Obadiah 1:18. There shall be no survivor for the house of Israel, for the Lord has spoken. Who was struck blind for the opposing Paul's preaching? Elymas, Bar-Jesus, Demetrius, or Simon Magus? Elymas. Acts 13:11. And now, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon you, and you will be blind and unable to see the sun for a time. Who was the husband of Hagar, the mother of Ishmael? Isaac, Abraham, Lot, or Esau? Abraham. Genesis 16:3. So after Abraham had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar to the Egyptian, her servant, and gave her to Abraham, her husband, as a wife. In which gospel does Jesus say, I am the bread of life? Matthew, Luke, Mark, or John? John. John 6:35. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. What object did Jacob set up as a pillar after his dream of Bethel? A staff, a tree, a stone, or an altar? A stone. Genesis 28:18. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil in the top of it. What was the original name of Abraham's wife Sarah? Sapphira, Rebecca, Miriam, or Sarai? Sarai. Genesis 17:15. And God said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. What physical affliction did King Uzziah suffer as a result of his pride? Blindness, lameness, leprosy, or deafness? Leprosy. 2 Chronicles 26:19. And the leprosy broke out in his forehead in the presence of the priest in the house of the Lord. What kind of tree did Zacchaeus climb to see Jesus? Sycamore, fig, olive, or cedar? Sycamore. Luke 19:4. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. Who was Paul's mentor when he was still known as Saul? Nicodemus, Gamaliel, Simon, or Caiaphas? Gamaliel. Acts 22:3. I'm a Jew born in Tarsus in Cilicia, but brought up in the city, educated at the feet of Gamaliel,